Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I'm calling the meeting to order. As our first item of business is actually my remarks. As I may have discussed with some of you earlier, we are in the process now of organizing the discussion of the non-budget warrants that we're considering before the town meeting. And the express objective of tonight's meeting will be twofold. First off, to set up a schedule for the review of these warrants and to invite comments as appropriate over the next couple of weeks, and to review the process and the progress of the subcommittees of the different groups that we have empowered to make the questions available to the department heads following the submission of their budgets. And I think as we go through these processes over the next couple of weeks, we should be able to reconcile the budgets, the budget requests with the revenue, which we expect to be furnished to us next Monday for consideration on our Wednesday, the 31st of January meeting. We expect Mike Dennehy and Amy will be at that meeting. So in terms of preparing for next week's meetings, next Wednesday will be a very substantive meeting because we'll have revenue figures that they are very comfortable with, and we'll also probably have at least two of the non-budget warrants that we will discuss. So with that, we can move to the third item on our agenda, which is a review of the subcommittee progress. My understanding is that we have had significant progress in the subcommittees over the past couple of weeks, and that virtually everybody has met or has planned to meet. Are there any of the subcommittees which have not yet met or have not submitted questions or received answers to the questions? And if not, what is the plan? Because I would like to have these all done by next Wednesday if possible.
General government is Brian and myself and Chris. Chris isn't here, but I guess the two of us.
Two out of three is fine, and I think Chris would be perfectly happy. If he's watching at home, Chris, I hope you're comfortable with that. If you have anything you want to add, call in. So if that's the last committee that has to meet, I think we're in very good shape, because we also are waiting on the insurance figures to come in, which were not received by us. My understanding is that those will be prepared and available to us before next meeting. So when they come, I'll make sure that they're circulated properly.
George, the other budget we questioned, we didn't think we had, was the ZBA. And apparently that budget has been consolidated with the planning board's budget.
Has it? Yes.
For the past couple of years, apparently.
Okay. So is that has been reviewed, though? The planning board, those budgets
we
have
looked
been
at planning
reviewed?
board, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything is in order at that point.
They're looking at planning
Maggie?
board? I thought we were doing planning board. Yes.
Oh, no, I think planning board was part of.
We're doing zoning and planning board.
If you look at the committee assignments, I think planning board fell under.
Committees
Did,
and things, I think.
it was forgotten.
It's been covered.
No, I know it's been covered. I wasn't sure whether, I thought it was in there.
Hills cover- No, you're right. No, you are correct. We did not do planning board.
Okay, so you have
So
planning.
we don't have a lot of the budget narratives. Example, selectmen didn't include a budget narrative. It was a great one last year. We don't have veterans benefits. We don't even have a budget with them. And there are several other departments that have not included a budget summary this year.
But they
I went
included the
through
budget, but not the
Yeah,
summary.
no, we don't have veterans, and I was surprised not to receive the selectmen's summary.
If you send me.
I have a list, I'll
Yeah, send me the list and I'll forward it along.
There are several without
Yes.
Yeah.
narratives.
Yeah,
The one we
well,
were looking for health.
Right.
Was one of them.
okay.
Yeah.
If that's the case, send it to me, I'll forward it along, and then we'll try to get something. I assume that they'll be able to put in, if they could put the budget together, I'd be surprised if they couldn't put a brief narrative.
Yes, well, it's supposed to be a requirement.
Right, I would expect that would come. But in the simple fact that they haven't got it, then we've got to get it. Kevin?
George, just an FYI, so the schools, our plan is to attend the school committee's finance subcommittee
Yes,
meeting.
that's this Friday. Oh, it's Monday?
Yes.
And that's been posted? I believe
Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck, I believe I saw that. So we just remember that if it's not posted, you can't go through with it. Please make sure that is sent to Barbara Martin. Doug, did you have a question?
I was just curious, you mentioned the insurance before, and I think there was maybe one or two other smaller departments that hadn't submitted their budgets to us, if we know what those were. I'm not sure.
Well, the health insurance.
Yeah,
there's
the
the
That's the health
veterans.
insurance is, that's the
Veterans
major one, right, and
Not
veteran.
narrative, just the budget itself.
budget
It was mostly the
itself.
health
Right.
insurance, and I
Right.
think,
Veterans,
wasn't planning. I think it was the zoning board.
yeah. But that's under planning, he just
Yeah.
said. And the veterans, that we don't have anything on that.
All right, just making sure.
But,
I-
but
you
let's,
may
I just
be
want to, I
confused
just want to make
sometimes.
sure that we do have everything
Yeah.
tied up before we go into the
Yeah, don't want
process.
anything to fall through
of
the
discuss-
cracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
when
that's
we-
why we're talking about this
When
tonight.
I submit you the list, could you also ask our new, Michael Dennehy to just review everything? Because he did submit the book, just to make sure
Yes.
we've received everything,
Yes.
so we don't have to be, to double check. So we
Scrambling,
don't have to
right.
be going along and then find out we're missing something. It'd be nice to have it.
Okay,
School committee meeting is posted, George.
yes,
Okay.
okay. And DPW will be rescheduled, my understanding, Steve had an illness, and he's going to reschedule that, and that'll be fine. And otherwise, I think we're in very good shape with that. So we can move to item 4, the discussion of the warrants, not really, I'm sorry, Maggie.
Just one other
Meg,
item.
did you say you did not have veterans?
I didn't see it in there. Did
It's
you?
in.
Oh,
It's in.
did they give you a budget summary? Maybe that's.
Well, they may not be a budget, I didn't see if there was a budget somewhere.
Tomorrow at 4, I'm
budget
meeting
narrative.
our committee, Kevin and Doug, we're meeting with the fire chief at 4 o'clock, and Friday morning, we're meeting with the police at 8 a.m., and tentatively, next Tuesday, we have a meeting with the inspectional services, Joe Pondak, but it's between 4 and 6, depending. Are we having a meeting next Wednesday? Because if it's.
Yes.
Then we're going to do it at 6 o'clock, because it would make more sense to do it right before our meeting. Does that work for
Yes.
you?
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. The
I'll
31st
confirm
is a
that with
meeting
Joe
that
tomorrow.
will be posted. The question is, do we need one on the 29th? Because the 31st is going to be a very substantive meeting, and if we get through what we have to get through tonight, we may not need a meeting on the 29th and just have one on the 31st, but we'll leave that open to when we have the discussion. So the discussion of the the warrants that we received that were forwarded to us, does everybody get something to look at? Oh, aren't you nice? Thank you very much. The objective of this exercise is to schedule in when we want to have the citizens and the particular departments come in and give us their input before we take votes on them. So if we want to start municipal energy aggregation, Mike has suggested that he could arrange for testimony from the individual who submitted this. If we would be interested, I think it would be a very good thing for him to come in and explain it concisely.
Who did submit that?
It was, he gave me his name and sent me an email putting me in touch. I'm just going to, I'll tell you in a second.
This one does not say citizen petition.
It doesn't.
Which one?
Nor does it have any signatures
No, I
with
know.
It doesn't have any signatures with it, and that was a little bit of a...
No way you can tell.
Because we don't
Yeah.
know who's submitting them, right?
It's actually the last one.
Oh, the
It's
municipal.
from-
Mine might
yeah,
be
Good
mixed
Energy,
up,
John
yeah.
O'Rourke, Municipal Energy Aggregation. There's a fellow named John O'Rourke. He's scheduled to give me an email or a call, and I'll find out what his availability is. The zoning amendments, I suggest we have Mr. Whiteside come in and explain all of those at once. What would you all think of that?
Yeah.
Okay? And I would imagine that the planning board would be talking about the traffic study revolving fund. So I think those, if we divide them into 2 meetings, the other one that I think is going to be more complex is the petition for the yacht club. I think there are
Yes.
many interested parties who would like to come in, not the least of which is the selectmen. So we have to be very, very careful about scheduling that to make sure that we're not going to schedule a meeting that conflicts with theirs. So I suggest that we have the municipal energy aggregation and Mr. Whiteside come in next Wednesday, the 31st. And Mike Dennehy will be here for the revenue submission at that time, so we can get through, I'll probably, and maybe if we can get the planning board to come in at the same time for the traffic revolving study. We can get through probably half of the amendments, half of the warrants, the non-budget warrants, and then the following week, we can invite giving enough people to notice, and the selectmen and the 88 Wharf Street people and the Yacht Club membership enough notice so that they can come in and speak to that particular lease warrant that they've made a request for. So I would suggest the 31st and then the 5th of, I believe it's the 5th of February, that Monday is February 5th, right?
Can I have Whiteside and the planning board?
Yeah, we need the
Same
planning,
night?
we need Bill Clark from the.
Yeah, I would
Well,
think,
I'll talk to you. We'll talk to
yeah, I think we would have them come in on the 31st and do the others on the 5th.
Yeah,
Would they
I
also
would
need to be
just-
present on the 5th as well, because the second article that we were gonna discuss on the 5th is about putting a moratorium on
That's what
zoning.
I was
That's
gonna
right, I was
ask.
just
We
going to
might-
say, that one, I'm open to discussion as to how we handle that one.
Might need the
You have to
similar
have the citizens
considerations
come
as the 88 Wharf amendment, just because.
Those
a lot-
both
they're-
affect planning, because
Yeah.
88 Wharf is part of the master plan, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot of discussion.
Lot of
So to-
discussion.
To do anything that would undermine the master plan
They're kind of
plans would,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
The
kind of-
planning board
Yeah,
would have to be present
citizens
for
come
that
in.
as well.
Well, planning board,
We'll have to-
master plan, they're kind of interrelated.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of public interest in both of them, I have a
I think
feeling.
you have to
So-
invite everyone, but the citizens petition, the ones that put it up, we have to invite them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have to post the meeting.
Yeah.
So that if they're
Yeah.
going to take that, because I actually don't know how to get in touch with that individual. So it will be posted. So we'll split them 31st and the 5th. And some people just may have to make two trips. And we have to do it that way, just for efficiency's sake.
Well,
Kevin?
we have to make two trips, so.
Oh,
Well,
Gene.
there was a very good article in the Times about a month ago about this issue. It really covered a lot of the
I
facts, what's
saved
going
mine, I'll go
on.
back and look.
Yeah, if you could print it off for people to read, that would be wonderful.
Excuse me, George?
It was really unbiased and I thought it covered a lot of the details.
Tom.
One thing that may save a little bit of time on the,
Yes.
Direct from the-
the only article that was at all controversial in terms of the planning articles
Yes.
was the one that was before us last time on temporary signs.
Yes.
Right.
And Wendy was pretty much on top of that.
Yes.
You might want to have her discuss that with Alex or somebody before the meeting.
Well, maybe she could join us.
Right,
She's very good at that.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
yeah, but you know, to have her
On
kind of
points.
hash it out before it, so that, you know.
I'll
there
I'll
were
send her a
several
memo
others
and
that
see if
concerns
she
about it,
wants
but
to
she
just
took the
get some of
lead
the
on that, so-
particulars.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and so the municipal energy and Milton Yacht Club.
What about the ice house thing?
It's just changing the bedroom size configuration.
Why are they, I think I read something about that. Does anyone know the reason why?
No, I guess
You
we'll
can
find
ask
out,
Alex
but
when he, dear, but
I thought they submitted it, I thought I read submitted it to, does it have to be submitted for approval to the Attorney General?
all articles once
Yeah.
they pass
So
will be
I
sent to
think
the
that that
Attorney
was their
General.
suggestion for some reason to word it that way when it came back. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, it could just be, you know, it just, when they started looking at it, the other configurations, it didn't work for whatever
For
reason.
some reason, I think I watched that episode of the Planning Board.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, well, however we have to do it, we'll do it. Okay, so if we have that determined, then we can look at questions that we have surrounding any of the, is there any question that has arisen from any of the budgets that we have seen that requires any deliberation by us or any answers that we are looking for right now? I think we're probably okay at this point. And if anybody needs to get any further information, please don't hesitate to let me know, and then I can put you in touch with Amy, or you can go to Amy directly if there's anything that you need particularly at this
I
point.
think we should be getting an estimated budget. We did have one last year. And the governor, even though the governor gave those figures at the MMA conference on Saturday, Baker's, just submitted, it was just submitted to the House. And it's a process. It has to go to the House, and then it has to go to, House and and it has to be approved. So it may not just be approved. They already have an estimate. We have all of these little components of the budgets, but it really doesn't do us much good without having the full picture.
Understood.
That's what
And
we're
as
getting
far as
on Wednesday.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Wednesday.
the number will be available to us on Monday, the 29th.
Oh, good.
And we will be able to review that before the meeting. The second that I get it, I'll forward it around, and we'll be able to have that in time for the 31st. And Mike will be in here to present, and any particular questions that we have, we can just forward to him at this point and take it from there. Because I think that'll just tie it all together for us. And in terms of the negotiation that we have to undertake, in terms of reconciling the revenue figure with the budget request, we'll just move on that as soon as we have it, because I think by then we should have a very good idea of how the budgets will fit into the revenue figures at this point. So if that's it, is there any new business we need to consider before we have the subcommittee breakout? One last piece, we're interviewing on the 5th, before our meeting, candidates for the clerk position, which I'm hoping we will have in place that week. If the candidates are at all interested and interesting to us and able to do the job, we're not going to waste any time in making the offer. So Jean and Kevin and I are the committee that will select. If you want to sit in, Brian, that would be good too. But they're expected to come at 6:15, and we'll take it from there at that
At
point.
what time?
6:15 on the 5th.
Do you have her? I don't
I'll
have.
send it to you. Yeah, I have one of them. I think there was another that came through too, but I'll send it to you. So other than that, if there is no new business and we want to have we have one subcommittee, the general government subcommittee breakout.
Parks and.
Parks also?
Consolidating, yeah.
Okay, we can recess for that, and then we'll reconvene as soon as you're finished with that.
I just have one.
Yes,
One
please.
thing to say. When they submit their overview of the budget, and when they say what their plans are, when you preview the budget, make sure that they have put in enough money for it, because we had an override last year, and they might be a little bit reticent about putting in a full budget. So make sure that their budgets agree with the revenue projections, make sure that they're not, if they want to do a project, that it's fully funded when you're looking at what they propose to do with their departments this year. Because we don't want them coming up short. If they say they're going to do something,
Mid-year.
make sure that they have the tools to do it.
Okay, that's a very good suggestion. Okay, so let's recess and gather around wherever in here or in the other room for the
Where do you want to go,
subcommittees.
Brian?
And Our recess is over. We will
with him.
reconvene and just summarize now as to the subcommittees. You completed your work, the general government, and who was over here, refresh my memory?
Parks.
Parks, I'm sorry, thank you. All right, so to the extent that we have that all under control, is there any new business that we have to consider or any requests for information that we have to convey that I could help with? Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment. Oh, one last question. I think that since we're going to have a full schedule on the 31st and Monday the 29th, we don't have much to talk about. I suggest we not meet on the 29th and we meet on the 31st. Is everybody agreeable?
Yeah, I can't make the 31st, but
Oh, really? Bummer.
business meeting.
Understood.
Did we
But
plan
the
on?
31st is when the revenue figures will be in and all the other individuals were able to come. They could not come on the 29th, and that's why we moved it
Okay.
to the 31st.
I mean, it is what it
We'll
is,
miss
I
you.
guess.
We will miss you. But I know there's at least one other individual who has a problem on the 31st, but that's when our town administrator and Amy and a couple of other people are able to come, so we want to be accommodating to them as well.
Sure.
So I suggest we not meet on the 29th, we meet on the 31st at 7 o'clock. I will have the meeting posted, and we'll make the appropriate invitations for the 31st, and then Monday the 5th for the interested parties for the warrants, and if we need to extend that until that Wednesday the 7th, we will, but we'll try to get it done in 2 meetings. So if there is no other new business, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. We'll see you on the
Thank you.
31st.
Thank you.
Have a nice week.